So we wanted to bring in our one of our friends from the Adler. This is Michelle Nichols, the Director of Public Observing. Good morning to you. Thanks so much for joining us on the fly. Appreciate it.
Oh, no problem. Thanks for having me.
So we've been pretty much going live for the last 45 minutes, awestruck at what we witnessed. This is just a new era, and yes, Sir Richard did it first, but this sure felt a lot different. What were your thoughts as you saw Blue Origin take off this morning?
Oh my God. First off, you got to admit those drone shots of launch, that was really cool.
Very
But
cool.
overall, wow, how can you not be inspired by that? And honestly, Wally Funk, that's the person that I really wanted to see. It's awe-inspiring what humans can do when you put enough resources toward doing something.
Yeah, well, you know, everything looked like it went off flawlessly. Did you have any nerves at any point?
Oh, all throughout, because whenever you strap yourself to a rocket, any rocket whatsoever, there are many things that could go wrong along the way.
Exactly.
And cause real problems. And so, is it going to launch? Is it going to separate? Are the parachutes going to come out? Are those little retro rockets going to fire and slow it down? All these things have to happen correctly and in order for them to come back safely. So it's not a slam dunk that this is a complete cakewalk from start to finish. This is impressive.
What would you say to those who argue, okay, a couple of billionaires, who's got the biggest yacht, who's the first into orbit? As far as practicality going forward and your vision, where do you see us maybe in 10 years?
I see this still being the realm of fairly rich people in order to do this, but it's at least inspiring for people to know that there are technological advances that are being worked on. There are interesting ways to interface with the public being worked on. So it will not be the realm of the rest of us to be able to go unless we save up basically for a house or more. But it's at least great to see it from afar and go, wow, what's next? What are they going to dream up next?
Well, you know, the $28 million that they gathered from the auction apparently is going to be distributed to space advocacy and education groups. And the rest of it, of course, benefiting Blue Origin's Club for the Future. I mean, in doing what you do, you have a lot of people that, you know, are interested about space. These kids, they come to the planetarium, they want to know. I mean, how much does that kind of investment in education, what does that mean to, you know, the kids that come and they want to learn? I mean, talk to us about that.
It is not, yeah, it's not a coincidence that the Adler Planetarium over the last few years, pre-pandemic, had been seeing year-on-year increases in attendance, more and more people coming to our programs, more and more people wanting to look through a telescope, which is what I'm in charge of. And it's things like space movies and space TV shows and science TV shows, and believe it or not, The Big Bang Theory and stuff like that. All of it plays a part. People are interested in this stuff, and it's our job to feed them the real science and to give them the real perspective on all of this. But it's really not that bad to dream either. And so that's it. It all
No
plays
kidding.
a part in this, and it's all a lot of fun to do.
Michelle, it's Mike Kaplan here. This was pretty much a sightseeing trip here. Didn't last that long. Maybe talk about the different complexities of getting a spacecraft past the Kármán line versus getting it into orbit. Do you envision there being a time where a mission similar to this might actually put a handful of civilian astronauts into orbit, or is that something that's maybe still well beyond the scope of what Branson and Bezos are doing now?
No, I'd say it's probably I think it's the next thing, or one of the next things that Blue Origin is going to work on. They've got the New Shepard rocket. Well, the next one, New Glenn, is aptly named. It's named for the first American in orbit, John Glenn, and so that's the next goal: get things and people up into orbit. And they've even got a far in the future dream board of putting people on the moon, or at least putting things on the moon. And so it's all there. How hard will it be? Harder. It is just physically harder to get things into orbit because the rocket needs to be a lot bigger. And then you have to your slowing down system needs to be even more robust, because you're going to be traveling a lot faster when you come back down from orbit. I don't see it happening in the next year, but I would not be surprised if that is their next major step. And there are companies who are interested in, well, when you go into orbit, where do you go? There are some who are working on inflatable tourist hotels for space. I'm not kidding. Now, again, feasibility, are we talking 5 years? Probably not. 10 years? Maybe. Space is hard.
Yeah,
Let's
right.
put it that way.
Yeah, let me ask you. Yeah,
And so there excuse me, there could be a lot of monkey wrenches along the way, but at least they're trying.
yeah.
That's
I
the
want to
thing.
leave the
At least
travel
they're
leisure
trying.
industry on the shelf just for a second, because Bezos has been adamant. He says, this is a lot of this is about saving our planet. He talks about the fact that we have resources that are almost exhausted in a lot of cases. He thinks that perhaps there is a treasure trove which can be perhaps taken from meteors or the Mars or the moon. Is that really an application that you think is that something we're going to see in our lifetimes?
I get asked a form of this question all the time. When are we going to Mars? When are people going to Mars? Because in order to exploit something like resources on an asteroid or something like that, you need more than just going to orbit. Going and exploiting one of those places by itself is not going to be enough to save our planet. We have 8 billion people on this planet. We're not sending people in vast numbers to other places. Trying to exploit resources in other places is going to be insanely expensive. So this may not be the thing that saves Earth. What will save Earth? People appreciating Earth for what it is, not for saying the
Great
rest
point.
of the solar system is
Great
something
point.
to exploit. And so that's something, getting people up into orbit or getting people just up to see Earth in a new way. You don't see borders from international borders from space. You see Earth as a whole. You see how fragile it really is. And so getting more people to think about that and to appreciate it and figure out how to solve the problems with the technology that we have and technology to come. That's, I think, the more important message.
Michelle, just, listening to you talk and watching this unfold, I have to wonder, what does this kind of gravity force or going up that, what does it do to your body? Does it change anything with the human body?
Probably not for these really short flights. If you're an astronaut, a NASA astronaut going up to the International Space Station, for example, and you're going up for maybe 6 months at a time, yeah, when you come back down to Earth, you're going to feel that gravity for a few days. And there are medical effects that happen when you're up in space for a long period of time. Your eyesight changes, your height changes, and then it goes back to normal within when you come back down, and that hurts, apparently hurts your back, hurts your neck. There are some medical effects that do happen, and the longer you're in space, the more of those medical effects that there are. So, but these short hop flights, no, that they'll experience some increased G load when they're going up or coming back down. But these are so short that I don't think there are any medical things they have to really worry about.
One of the things I love about talking to you, Michelle, is your enthusiasm. And I'm looking at a Pew survey from a couple years ago, and half of American youngsters are not in STEM for one reason: they think that it's too hard. What's your message to young people out there who are watching this today, and maybe they have dreams of reaching the stars?
Everything's hard. Space is hard. Science, it could be hard for some people. That should not be a thing that keeps people from wanting to do something. If something's hard, you work through it. You find someone to help you. You find a book that you need to help you work through a problem. You ask for help. I think that's something that we need to make sure we're recognizing when kids are interested and keep them interested. Once they get to middle school, it might be over for more of them. And they go, no, not for me. I was lucky. I had family around me, friends. No one ever told me, no, Michelle, you can't do that. When I used to visit the Adler Planetarium when I was a kid, and I used to go, man, it would be cool to work here.
Yeah,
I've been here for 26 years. And so no one ever said, no, you can't do that. I said to myself, I want to do that. And we need to help those people as much as we possibly can. And if they're adults, help them too. It's not too late to get interested in any of this. And it's not bad to be a nerd either. I would say nerd is kind of cool right now. Wouldn't you say?
I
Totally
think-
agree with
yeah,
that.
you know, Big Bang Theory made sure of that too. Michelle Nichols, Director of Public Observing, thank you so much for your perspective and your enthusiasm about this historic flight today.
Thanks for having me. Really appreciate it.
Yeah.